So when we're talking about this, the food gathering in clams, what class would that be referring to? Which one? Bivalvia. Why would gastropods not be right? Those are snails. Why would cephalopods not be right? Cephalopods. What about them? Yeah, those are octopods, squids, and nautilus, cuttlefish, all of those. So then bivalvias are the clams, and what type of feeders are clams in general? Okay, so in this process, you already established that they're filter feeders, so yes, that is correct. So what that means is just like in sponges, that water and organic materials has to get inside the clam somehow. Okay, and how is that done? Do you think? Just not an opening. What would we want to call that? Say that again. Yes, incurrent pores. When we're talking about pores, that's microscopic structures. We want to go a little bigger than that. So what we see happening is water and I don't know if you want to say food particles, organic debris, that means the same thing, okay? So water and organic materials move in through what you said earlier, through the incurrent siphons, okay? So once this has happened, it's going to be flowing over what structure? When you did those dissections, what was the most easiest thing to see inside the clam? That's right. Okay. So what we see happening is once this water is inside the clam, when we say these, we're talking about the water. Well, let's not say these. I think it would make more sense to say we'll just say food because that's what we meant by organic materials. So once it flows over those gills, what's going to happen? What makes them filter feeders, like you correctly said? Okay, what about it? Okay, the food is trapped, like you said, on the gills because what is secreted? You said mucus. That's right. Is secreted on the surface. Okay, so now that this is trapped, how's it going to get from that point A to point B? Point A is the gills. Everything has to be taken in through a mouth. So how's it going to get from there? Say that again. Right. Okay. So then we would say cilia sweep to the mouth. We could say even sweeps the food to the mouth. Then, obviously, by that time, then it's going to be utilized for digestion. So those are the main things that we really want you to focus on. Then, finally, once it's been separated, then water will exit. Okay, so if water is coming in through this, where's it going back out of? Excurrent siphons. Excurrent siphons, or siphon, let's say. So those gills have two functions. One, as we can see, is food gathering. The second is what? Any type of gill in any animal, whether it's fish or for breathing, for respiration. That's right. Okay. So when you connect the dots here, you might say something along the lines of the water and organic materials in clams moves in through the in-current siphons, period. Then the food is trapped on the gills because mucus is secreted on the surface, period. And then you're just connecting the dots, okay? So this is just a brief outline. We want you to have a complete sentence form, okay? Questions on that? And hopefully it made a lot more sense when you cut them clams open. Okay, the big one now. The most complex of this phylum is who? What class? The cephalopods, which includes who? Squids, and we said that earlier. Squids, octopods, and the nautilus. Okay? So we may say something along the lines of describe differences within the class Cephalopodum. Okay? So, we want to say something about these three things. We want to say something about this. So I want you to look up at those four terms: the gills, the appendages, the shell, and then the movement. Okay? And we'll start tying those together. So, take your pick. Which one you want to start with first? Just start with the gills? Okay. So, within this class, within cephalopods, what's significant about the gills? And it's the number that we're getting at. Some have one pair, some have two. So which one's which? Oh, maybe what I can do, I saw these sitting here, but it just didn't register to hand these back. Maybe that's why I see so many confused. Look, 60 points, okay? I should have done this earlier, wasn't thinking. Let's try this again. So what's significant about the cephalopods? Who's got two pair and which one only has one? Nautilus has two pairs of gills. The Nautilus has two pairs of gills. As opposed to the squid and octopods won. They're working on their essay writing, Mrs. Zacharias. They're so good at it, they must have had a good branch in junior high to teach them this. Long time ago. 5 years ago? 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, and maybe 7th. So 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay, so the squid and octopods only have one pair of gills, where nautili or nautilus have one. Okay, so that takes care of the gills. Now what? You just want to go in order? Okay, so what's significant about appendages in this class? It's the number. And all three of them are different. The squids and the octopods are fairly similar. But the nautilus is... Squids have 10, that's right. Squids have... we can just say 10 appendages. Octopods, that would be fairly easy to speculate, okay? Octopods have 8. Now, when we say those 10 appendages, how's that similar to octopods? They each have 8, but those squid have 2 what, though? They're a little longer than the rest of their appendages. Tentacles, is that what you said? That's what it sounded like you said. Okay. So then, finally, what about the nautilus? It's crazy, isn't it? 60 to 90 appendages. Okay? All right. Now, what about the shell within this class? Octopods and squids, their shell is where? On the inside, okay? Squids and octopods have interior shells. And the nautilus has an exterior shell. Exterior. Okay. I got this on sleep mode, so I don't want that to fall asleep. Maybe that's not good for it. Oh, that's kind of neat. Just watch the Phillips go through there. Doink. Doink. Okay, then finally, movement. Okay, and what hopefully really stands out is especially with these guys, as far as movement's concerned. There's got to be a reason for that shell. There again, it's a primary function of protection, but at that cost comes a lot of weight. So there's something about the inside of that shell that helps counteract that weight. And what's inside that shell? Gas chambers. So the regulation of how much air in there will help regulate up and down movements. Okay, so finally, what we can say is squids and octopods, how did they move? You got to think about that funnel. That funnel's important for their movement. So what would the function of that funnel possibly be? They bring water in, and then that mantle contracts and pushes that water out. So what's that going to do? So what type of movement did we say? Jet propulsion. That's right. You can say squids and octopods have jet propulsion. And then the nautilus has what inside? You said it earlier. Has what inside its shell? Gas chambers. Okay? And that's where we're going to leave it at that. Because hopefully we would say, well, if it has those gas chambers, that air is going to regulate whether it's bobbing up and down. Okay? So squids have jet propulsion. The nautilus has gas chambers. Okay. So that does it for this chapter. The feeding, and then with that of the differences of the cephalopods. Now, this is not until Wednesday, this part. Okay? Tomorrow, just have general questions and what was on that vocab quiz. Make sense? All right. Anything else? Who needs bonus questions? Everyone? All right. Okay. Can I erase this? All right. Yes. It's fine. So, yeah, you kind of have tomorrow off then. Yeah. Okay. So, with that, so if you don't have those terms wrote down from last week, just find someone who does. It was the clam identification and then that of the squid as well. Okay, so bonus one. Is there an application fee for Lake Area Tech, Mitchell Tech, Southeast Tech, like there is for universities? Does that sound? Okay. So, is someone applying to a university that you can bypass that application fee? But that might have only been last week. Okay. Well, regardless. All right. Okay, so in other words, like for instance, if we had said which state in the Big 12 has two universities that has the state in it. Oklahoma's one, you have the Sooners and the Cowboys, and then Kansas is the other. You have the Jayhawks and the Wildcats. So in the Big 10, there's one state that's got two teams in that conference, and they're named after the state. Okay? Since is it still free college application week, or was that last week? Last week and this one? Oh, regardless. All right. Okay, so when the Big Ten expanded east, Maryland, University of Maryland was added. Along with blank. So I don't know when that was, maybe 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Because when you think of this, there's more teams in the Big Ten Conference than 10. Well, that's enough for this, so we'll catch up to you next time.